By now, you should have likely seen the higher portion of this webinar that I've recorded. So this is part 2 of 3. This is the training. Again, I want to leave you with some tips. I want to save you some mistakes that I made and leave you with some references and resources that are available inside the description. All right, enjoy. All right, cool. So training. What the heck can I train my VA on? I'm going to walk you through the video management process that I do. It's my video management / video training process. And then I'll show you the revision and resubmission process. My goal is that if you use these simple principles, you can train a lot of people on a lot of different stuff with the fewest steps possible. All right, so pardon this scary looking chart. I'm gonna walk you through this, right? Train. What types of tasks are best suited to train a virtual assistant, right? We've got 4 quadrants and they're going from difficulty, hard to easy, and autonomy is high autonomy versus low autonomy. I'll break this down, right? The tasks that are like super well suited to virtual assistants. This is my own diagram, by the way. This is me trying to create like a way to figure out if I can train somebody on something. But the best ones in this quadrant here are high ease and high autonomy, which means they're not difficult. And it doesn't require Phil or Jacob or Ekaterina to do it specifically, right? It's not tied to Phil. It's not tied to any one of us. And anybody can do it within our business. So when I think of my business and I think of these high ease, high autonomy type things, I'm thinking sales prospecting, right? Citation building, formatting my website, applying data to a site from a spreadsheet, right? They don't require me personally doing it. And those are what I consider kind of like really good instances of VA scalability, right? When I think of, and we'll walk through these in your business because I want you to get value from this in your business, right? So when I think of high ease and low autonomy in this quadrant here, it's an easy task, but it actually requires Phil to do it, right? And I was trying to think of one of these, right? It's not hard for me to go in and grab my financial information from my bank or my billing in order to process my taxes for the IRS, right? But is that something that I can hire my VA out to do? Likely not, because it requires me doing it, right? And I don't know if that's the best example. Jacob, Ekaterina, let me know what is something in your business that you think doesn't require either of you. You don't care who it is. So let's actually go to Jacob's business in Q1. I want you to think out loud. What are some things that I haven't mentioned here that would be high ease and high autonomy in this category?
I mean, one of the things that I have Ekaterina do that maybe it's pretty easy. I've never heard her opinion on it though, but I think it's kind of like usually when we're doing content planning for our clients, we have like a main keyword. It's part of like the higher level strategy, and then we have a bunch of other related keywords that are pretty easy to find once you have the main keyword. And every month, I give Ekaterina the content plan and a list of main keywords. Then she goes out and finds other related keywords that we should be including in our content. And I think that might be, since she's using Ahrefs, I feel like that's pretty easy with Ahrefs. But
Yep.
maybe I'm wrong. What do you think, Ekaterina?
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah, cool. And I think that's a perfect task for this quadrant here, team, because like Jacob doesn't care who does it, right? Jacob, it's not about the amount of time you sit there grinding out work in Ahrefs. It's like, do you have the keywords at the end of the project? Yes or no? So I think that's a perfect example. Now, Jacob, I want you to try to think what's something that maybe it's easy in your business to do, but like it just requires your personal attention. Sorry, we'll go back. What's something that fits in that category?
Probably, I mean, I don't know. Something that's easy but just requires my attention.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, something easy for me might not be easy for other people, but
sure.
maybe it's like the strategy. Although I'm not sure if anyone could just come up with a content strategy, but for me, it's easy. It just pretty like I don't trust anyone else yet to do the strategy, but I will in the future once I train Ekaterina on it. But usually it's just kind of like a time-consuming thing, just like finding a bunch of possible keywords that we could go after that are related to our clients' pain points.
Yeah.
Um, which I don't think it takes a brainiac to find a bucket of keywords that we could target, but it's definitely pretty time-consuming. Takes like I don't know, probably like 10 hours each month or so.
Yeah. No problem. I think it's probably easy for you to do, but it sounds like you could totally train someone on it. Um, I feel like this quadrant is probably more suited towards business activities, and I was having trouble coming up, except for like bookkeeping and stuff, which can be filed off. But basically, if Jacob, you identified that you think this requires your attention and you think it might be easy, it's definitely something worth considering training somebody on. That's why I put it in yellow. That's my takeaway. Is like, if you think it's easy and it currently requires your attention, but there's an opportunity for you to offsite it or get it to somebody else, then I think it's worth considering. And that's what I put the consideration face here, right? And then the last two quadrants make kind of sense, right? They're just difficult tasks, and maybe they don't require Jacob or Phil or Ekaterina to do it, but like, I don't know. They're just too difficult, too specialized, right? And conversely, there's stuff that's just difficult that requires Jacob, Phil, Ekaterina, or a business owner just working on. So I put this up here so people can start thinking about their business tasks and where they fall. And just my advice for anybody who's watching is if you think it requires your attention but it's also easy, it sounds like maybe there's an opportunity for you to train somebody on it, right? That's basically the takeaway. For this generalist role, I will say that the Q1 are the best instances, and as Jacob said a moment ago, in Q2, these are stuff that kind of warrants consideration and say, hey, maybe down the road I can systematize and hand this off and find ways to use that time elsewhere, right? Does anybody have any questions on this 4-quadrant thing? And does this make sense also?
Yeah, I like how you broke it down. So basically, the anything Louis and the two quarter 3 and quarter Q4, those are kind of things that you shouldn't outsource to a VA.
Yeah, I mean, and I had trouble coming up with, and I should have put more examples here, right? But let's go through, and I want to be more demonstrative, right? Low ease and high autonomy, right? So it's something difficult, and Phil's not caring about who does it, right? So something difficult, Phil doesn't care who does it. I think. Let's go. Actually, this one's a little easier, right? I think this one's a little easier, right? It's not easy, and it requires Phil. Well, I think probably a client kickoff call, right? A client kickoff call. They just signed. I want to be part of it, so there's low autonomy, and I'd say a kickoff call is 50% listening, 50% talking, right? Because I'm looking for potential problems down the road, right? So I would put a client kickoff call in quadrant 4. Something easy and I don't care who, I'm sorry, something difficult and I don't care who does it would be something not easy and Phil needs to be involved. Probably strategy planning. My 6 months strategy planning, right? I wouldn't hire that out, right? So I think those are two instances where I wouldn't want to hire that out for a VA just based on my business. Using those examples, Jacob, can you think of anything that would fit in Q3? Let's talk Q3 real quick. It's not an easy task, but you
I
don't.
love something maybe
Yeah, go for it.
maybe stuff that like involves like security, like I don't know, logging into your bank account or looking at your QuickBooks. Um, I don't know, stuff like passwords that you don't want people in another country to have. I don't know. That one's kind of hard, but that's stuff that's like kind of you don't want dealing with. Maybe sensitive information is the only thing that maybe I could think of that could go in Q3.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, I think finances certainly work in there. Um, Finances and security concerns, right? So, can you think of a Q4? So it's something difficult and something that requires Jacob, like for Q4, and this is a demonstration of things not to hire out. So, what is something not to hire out that's difficult that requires Jacob, and you wouldn't want to hire it out?
Well, I'd like to think that at some point I could hire everything out.
Sure.
However, stuff at the moment that I have to handle and I'm not ready to hire out is like sales, talk client meetings, onboarding new clients, and yeah, I think that's pretty much the most of it. It's kind of like the higher level client management,
Yep.
Especially dealing with new clients.
I agree. So in your instance, I said kickoff call, right? And in your instance, you said client management. I totally agree with you, right? And that's not to say it could never be in that position, right? We're just saying as it is right now. So thank you so much for walking through me through this. I hope this is helpful, and I think this is the sweet spot here, and you can start considering this one. Does anyone have any questions on my diagram before we move on to video management and Trello management? Cool. Let's do it. So
We're all
this,
good.
yeah, this is how I do my Trello management. I'll show you my Trello board for my VA, but there's a to-do column right here. There's a done column for Phil to review, and usually it's an index of things that Phil has yet to review, right? And then I put login columns. Training videos are all stored here, and the documentation is stored on a couple of different columns. That's how I work. That way, when a new job drops in, it drops into the VA queue. Then the VA works on items just here in this column, and when they're done, they get moved over to the review column, in which case Phil reviews them. Now, that's kind of high level. Let's dig into what this card would look like if I were to create a job card. So, this I said this is the video management card anatomy slide, right? If it's a new training, I will put the video to me doing the thing that I said I wanted to be done. I will put a link inside the Google Drive doc right here because we're using Google Drive. Links are free, and anybody can, anybody with access to the Trello has access to the Google Drive, and they can go in and watch my training video right here with Loom, and then they could get access to the documentation. I put the task and deadline, if any. Now, I know this is super simplified, but does everyone kind of understand what I'm doing? I'm putting all the components of my job in one spot, including the training. By the way, if this were a fresh new training video, I would create a new card and say, oh, by the way, if you want to reference this training later, it's going to be stored in your training column. I know this is not groundbreaking, revolutionary or anything, but this one thing alone has changed the way I manage VAs because everything in this respective job is all in its own little respective bubble. And I could put notes, we could adjust deadlines, it can be moved from processed to needs to reprocess type queue. Yeah, what do you guys think of this?
Whoops, had myself muted. Yeah, I like it a lot. The way we're I guess I'm doing management whenever I give Katerina a task, it's kind of pretty sloppy compared to what you're doing. We have Trello. Katerina's like organized a bunch of different Trello boards for our different clients. We also have like a project management Trello board, which we used to use, but I haven't even looked at it in a long time. Usually I just send Katerina a message over Telegram or something, and she gets it done, usually pretty quickly. But I think this is something that we could probably do better, and also organize a board. I really like how you organized it
Because
to stay on track of things, and also
yeah,
the
for sure.
training videos stay there as well.
Awesome. Okay, so thanks. I think this is quite clever too. So, and the beautiful thing of having people on the webinar is they see things that I'm being really short-sighted on explaining. I want to be clear that this Trello board is just for the VA and it's independent of all my other Trello boards. And what this allows is for me to have my 6-month strategy planning, big, giant Trello board with my master sort of stuff. But when I invite a VA to a project, they just get access to this one, and there's less analysis paralysis because my board is quite robust and crazy, and I want to keep that independent of the VA board. So when I am to make, and I'll just show you. Awesome. Okay, so yeah, here's a great example, right? I said, hey, watch this training. This is a training video that I got off YouTube. Complete this document for this client, and I put actually a Screaming Frog document to be included on this. And she had asked some questions here. This is actually perfect, guys, because she asked some questions here and said, hey, I've already sent this to you. And then she gave me the final go ahead as she moved it into this queue. Now, where did that silly card go? Okay, this card went here. If I were to review this document and anything were wrong, we're kind of getting to the next slide in the presentation, I would actually go here and Phil would go down and provide my notes, right? So I would say, hey, at VA name, there's been some error here. I'm not ready to sign off on this one, so it's going back into your stack. If you could kindly take care of this. And by the way, I ordered this in order of importance. So she works top down on this stuff. Anyways, that's how I operate, and basically I just showed you the kickback, right? If something's wrong, make sure you put clear notes, and it's going back to the today stack, right? That's it in a nutshell. I hope that's helpful. Does that make sense to you guys, team?
Yeah, I like having the kickback part.
Yeah, and again, every one of these has a training video, right? So I've done I hope it'll let me demonstrate. I want to see if there's a short training video. Oh wow, these are old because they're on Google Drive. But anyways, let's see if I can find a short one.
Quick question about
Yes.
your training videos. Do you create like standard operating procedures in a document and then you create a training video, or do you kind of just wing it with the training video?
I love this question so much because the book E-Myth would dictate that I already have an SOP. And really, when I think of SOP, it's like, this is how Phil does it. And I'm actually creating SOP as I do this silly exercise. It's so funny. As I've started delegating, it started to make me be more, I'm frankly more organized because as I'm recording these videos, basically I'm realizing that, the way I'm doing this is all screwed up. Let me re-record it doing the right way, right? And then I provide that to the VA. So it's actually forcing me to distill what the heck I do on a daily basis as I hand it over. So I did not have an SOP prior to this, and now I'm finding that I'm organizing my time better by organizing the VA's time better. So I'm not, say, recording stuff that Phil does. I feel like that's kind of down the road, but all the stuff that I've had to hand out, I've effectively systematized, and I've handed them off. Guys, I don't think there's anything special about this, so I don't think this warrants a showdown, but I will definitely send examples of me training, and it's just basically me walking through the exercise that I want the VA to do. As long as, I think that's it. So that is my training component, because again, you've decided, hopefully if you've looked at your quadrants, right, you've decided what you can and cannot hand off, and this probably requires some deeper soul searching within your business. But once you've got that, you can start training them on at least the green quadrant, if not this yellow quadrant, using Trello video management. I think really the value is in this right here, if I have to say. So if there's one thing to take away, I'm giving you this. I think one task equals one Trello bubble, which has all of the documentation, video training, and instruction in one place. I think that is probably the greatest value that I can give. So I hope that makes sense. And yeah.